It took far longer than I would have liked, but this prototype is now in a playable state, is what I'd hoped to say in this update, but this is pretty much all I got through. Fortunately, I've still got something to show, as you can tell by the title of this video, some first pass animations. Check it out. The first part of this video will just be some thoughts on why I had trouble with my last goal, so if you aren't interested in hearing that, please skip to the animation chapter. From my last video, I decided to try and work on some gameplay before animation, as I thought this might help me avoid throwaway work. Suppose, for example, that after some prototyping, for whatever reason I decided I no longer wanted to implement bros attacks. I would then know I should skip making those animations instead of assuming they're necessary, only to realize later on that I just wasted a couple hours of effort. That was the plan, but I really struggled with Unreal for 2 to 3 weeks. For some reason, it just felt like there was so much more boilerplate or setup to get through, and I often felt like the tutorials were somewhat lacking compared to ones from the Unity community. One problem was that I found blueprints unintuitive, which ironically seems to be the exact opposite of most Unreal users' opinion. They're even touted as easier for non-programmers to get into, yet I found reading them to be confusing and cumbersome. Perhaps that could just be chalked up to a lack of experience though. The second, bigger problem was the battle system. I just could not figure out how to properly structure it in code. Although I came up with some representation of a state machine and combatant classes, implementing it was slow and frustrating, and after a slew of spaghetti code, I ultimately decided to just go back to animations. Fortunately for me, Blender comes with an amazing add-on called Rigify that can automatically generate rigs for you. I just used their humanoid rig for each character except the dog, for which I used their basic quadruped. I previously had mildly regretted giving every character a tail, but Rigify includes an option to add components, so I didn't even have to learn how to set up FK bones, controllers, and whatnot. Then I chose 4 animation categories that I believe should be enough for a bare minimum playable game. They are idling, running, attacking, and getting hit. The process was fairly straightforward. All idle animations were simply moving the torso controller up and down, along with tail movement and sometimes Z-axis rotation on the chest controller. The run cycles were more involved. All of the humanoids followed this image from the animator's survival kit, with each key pose being placed every 2 frames. For the dog, I used this image of a quadruped walk instead. On the other hand, for both attacking and getting hit, I pretty much just winged them. Attacks all start with anticipation before the action, and getting hit is just a hurt pose and then Z-axis noise on the root controller. At this point, I'm a bit worn down, to be honest. I had hoped I could finish this project by the end of May, yet it seems all too likely that I still have at least 1 more month to go. I just really want to get something out there, so I'm committing to an MVP. I'll cut out the bros button and item button for now, along with the boss sequence, attacks in the overworld, and even the battle dance. Not that I won't finish them later, I absolutely will. It's just that I've got some other obligations I need to prioritize in the near future. This will be my last update before I publish an iteration on itch.io. I do still feel like the finish line is close, but video editing always seems to consume an entire week, so it'll have to go on the back burner. With that, thanks for watching. See you then.